Hello everyone and welcome to another live episode of The Voice of Luxury. My name is Lucy Challenger and I'm the CEO of Polo and Tweed, and I am joined today by the incredible Toni. Hanushka, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for coming on and speaking to all our listeners. Now, Hanushka, for those of you who may or may not know, she is the CEO and founder of Sellier Knightsbridge, which is a reseller of luxury pre-loved designer goods. Now, if you haven't had a chance to check out this incredible brand, drop everything now and go and have a look at it, but listen to our amazing interview that's about to happen first. So Hanushka, maybe you could tell all the listeners a little bit about yourself, your career, and what led you to start this incredible company.
So I guess in my 20s, I did absolutely everything. If there's a job you can name, I've probably done it. But my main career was being a lawyer. So I went to law school and I trained at a city firm. After I left that, I tried loads of different things, from being a journalist and writing for The Spectator to eventually moving to Monaco with my family, where I ended up, God knows how, in a job in luxury digital marketing. I had very little experience in it at the time, and it was amazing because someone took a chance on me and I worked incredibly hard, and after about a year I was made creative director at the company. I ended up working with brands like Rolls-Royce and Bentley and NetJet, so all these big luxury brands, advising them on branding and positioning because it's something I've always been so passionate about. Eventually though, my mum started a consignment business in London, and I was kind of dipping my toe in and out, and it wasn't really something I was looking to do. But it had been her dream for her entire life, literally lifelong dream. She's been talking about this since I was probably 4. And then COVID hit, and it looked like it was about to all go kind of turn into a disaster. And we had no digital strategy in place. So I said, look, Mum, let me help you. Let's do a bit of Instagram. Let's build a website. Let's start selling digitally, which we did. And very, very quickly, the business started gaining traction and sales started growing and growing and growing and growing. And it got to the point where we both realized that actually this is an amazing business. And I was so invested in it. I was loving it so much that I ended up leaving my previous job and just joining Sellier full time. This was maybe, about 18 months ago that I joined, but properly kind of COVID last year. And yeah, the rest has kind of been history.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So from legal to digital to then luxury. I mean, your mum was obviously passionate about, these things and these beautiful items from designer clothing and handbags, etc. But were you always interested in luxury, or was that something you had to learn about?
No, I was always really a big fan of luxury. But funnily enough, before, I used to be very kind of sensible, and I would treat myself a few times a year and that was it. But this job has completely kind of transformed and made it into a passion, in the sense that if there's a new collection out, I need to get a piece from the collection, because I've started seeing luxury more as an investment long term if you buy the right thing. Because I have sellers coming to me who bought, for example, 10 Chanel bags 20 years ago and paid kind of £1,000 a bag, and now they're selling them for 5,000 a bag, for context.
Wow, that's incredible. So it shows that much like buying the right kind of limited edition car or property, handbags go up in value if you buy the right one.
Absolutely. So for example, behind me, I have a little vanity case by Louis Vuitton from the Game On collection. And it was a collection released end of last year. It was quite limited, so there are only maybe a few hundred pieces of each style. I know that, and I love it, I think it's so cool, but I know that when I come to resell it in maybe whenever I do, say 5 years, 6 years time, I'm going to be possibly sitting on a gain. And even if not, I would have enjoyed it for 5 or 6 years. So
wow. But why would, if for someone listening and thinking, well, okay, I've got the money, I want to go and buy something, why wouldn't they just walk into the shop and buy it new. What's the advantage of coming to your brand?
I think at the moment, a lot of super brands, the premiums they're charging are ridiculous. So the entry level price for a small Chanel classic flap is about £5,500. I mean, that is an enormous amount of money. And if you can buy the same bag, pre-loved, pristine condition, for kind of half of that, I just don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if someone's listening to this and then thinking, okay, great, I'm going to head off to eBay.
Oh,
Well, why would they come to a brand like Sellier? What makes you different to sort of the big brands, you know, like eBay out there?
look, I'm not going to say that every experience on eBay is going to be a bad one, but increasingly it's a bit of a Wild West, because the problem is you don't have someone in the middle who knows what they're doing checking the stock physically. So when it's shipped to from seller to buyer, if you have an unscrupulous seller, which happens all the time, unfortunately, you can just end up with a fake on your hands and then having to go through the processes to get your money back. It's stressful. Frankly, it's not worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. No, I mean, it's fascinating because your career has changed from, obviously, as we spoke about earlier, legal through to digital through to now this pre-loved selling of incredible items. But what is it most that excites you about? You talk about, you know, wanting to see new collections and sort of getting inspired by these beautiful new products. But what makes you want to get up every morning and you know, reach this challenge?
I think with this job, it's really interesting. It's almost like a drug, because there's that element of immediate gratification. When you do any other job, for example, say you're a writer or say a doctor, it takes months to see the results usually. So you make a change, you work. Whereas for me, I get up in the morning, I'm focused, and at the end of the day, I go onto the back end of my website and I think, wow, you know, I did all of this today and it's translated into sales this way. So I think that's really, it really appeals to me, to that immediate gratification mindset, which I know isn't always healthy, but I kind of love it.
No, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't love a bit of retail therapy? And in essence, that's what you're doing literally every second of your life. So, I mean, you know, that's going to help with the feeling of zen at the end of the day. So, you know, for someone who wants to, you know, experience more of this and potentially thought, oh, I would love to either, you know, develop my own brand in terms of how you've developed Sellier, because obviously your brand's specific and maybe people listening in have other brands in the digital spectrum. You've taken a brand very quickly from, you know, not people not knowing about it to suddenly the world knowing about it. So what advice would you give to someone who's looking to develop their own brand, perhaps digitally or specifically in this area?
I think the first thing is to know what makes you different from everyone else and to do things a bit differently, because that's how you get noticed. If you do the same thing that people are already doing, you're probably not going to get very far. From the perspective of making your brand a success, it has to be kind of just crazy work ethic. And then in my industry in particular, the last thing I would say is you cannot be greedy, because this is one advice I would give to anyone who's starting a pre-loved business. And I see it a lot with other resellers. A client will come to them, they'll give them a really, really toppy price. The client is initially absolutely ecstatic to get so much for an item. 3 months goes by, the item's not sold, you have 3 unhappy people: the buyer who liked the item but didn't buy it because it was overpriced, you who hasn't realized a profit, and the seller who's a bit annoyed and now has to reduce that item. So you can't be greedy, you always need to be realistic and work to achieve that balance for both seller and buyer.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. And I think you obviously learned so much in your digital growth and working in that industry to then apply that directly into this brand and make it successful. But how much, I mean, with my own company, we have people coming to us for training, you know, they invest in themselves because they recognize that, you know, okay, we was housekeeping and butlering is a very different industry to yours, but they see that if they don't have the skill set, they can't give the client what the client wants. So how much emphasis do you put on your education and training background to help you get to where you are now?
Oh gosh, on a personal level, I think my background is absolutely everything, because especially working in the law, that legal experience, funnily enough, is what set me up for everything I've done the rest of my life. I worked in one of the really great city law firms, and they were militant about, if you're not doing your best, then don't do it at all. You have no place here. And it sounds brutal, but that was very much the way things were done and still are done in a lot of city firms. And that taught me complete attention to detail, kind of unwavering, just work ethic, and really embracing that. So I think it's just set me in such good stead. I hope that my son, when he's older, and my daughter as well, both have that legal experience to start them off in whatever they ultimately choose to do, because I think it's been brilliant for me.
No, it's really interesting you say that. It's funny. My husband and I were laughing about, we were booking a holiday for this summer, and I was emailing, the villa people out in Antigua, and I get quite legal in the way I write things as well, because I'm always having that mindset that I should speak to people with that formality, with that respect. And my husband said, "Lucy, you're not writing a legal letter. You can just, we're just booking a villa." And I'm like, yes, but I want everything to be clear. I want everything to be polite. I want, I want there to be no confusion.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny how it ekes into your personal. You mentioned your children, you want them to have that grounding and that that foundation to their life, because it leads towards that success, which is what you clearly have got. So obviously you've worked with fabulous clients, bringing you rare and exotic and wonderful things into your brand, but are there any unusual or funny experiences you've had that you could share with us?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure. I think some of the items we are offered are frankly either so amazing that you kind of fall off your chair, or so bad that you're almost shocked that anyone would kind of send this through. So I don't have any concrete examples, but no, it does happen all the time on a daily basis. And some of the characters, when the shop is open, that come in, I mean, you meet some really amazing people and some really funny ones as well. So
yeah, I can imagine what you see behind closed doors. So you're based between Monaco and London, and obviously in normal non-COVID times jetting about and sort of working with clients around the world. But what do you do when you aren't working? Are you sort of reading Vogue back to back and studying it in detail? What's your sort of passions do you have?
I mean, to be honest, most days I work kind of 16-hour days. By the end of the day, I am exhausted. So I'm not going to pretend I have room for any hobbies. I just like to veg out on the sofa, watch TV, watch some Netflix. On a weekend, I'll love to eat some good food with my husband, my kids. I don't have any grand hobbies. It's just kind of decompressing from work the rest of the time.
Yeah, and I think that's, like you were talking earlier about, people think that it's going to be this glamorous world, but actually you're running a business, you're running a brand, and that 16-hour day is what it takes to be successful. Because if you just spent all day watching Netflix,
I wish I could, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But honestly, those 16 hours, they fly by, and then you look back at the day and you think, okay, and I still have all of that to do.
Sure.
So you'll know this from having your own business.
Yeah, it's never ending. The
ending.
never reduces, it just grows.
Yeah.
So obviously we entered last year into COVID, we entered into lockdowns, and the UK is back in another national lockdown. So you have a store that people can physically go to, but obviously at the moment no one is allowed to leave their homes, so we're all sort of stuck at home. So you've had to adjust considerably, although you already have the digital side of things. How have you found COVID? How have you navigated it?
I think for us, it's kind of made us more focused on how important it is to grow our digital presence. So that's really the main thing. I mean, in terms of having the store closed, yes, it is a disadvantage, because normally if someone sees something that they love online, they'll come into the store, they'll try it, hopefully they'll love it and they'll buy it. But we no longer have that opportunity. but yeah, it has been a challenge.
Yeah, no, it's difficult, and I think a lot of, you know, you're blessed and I'm blessed to be in industries that are still booming, but so many people have faced, you know, financial hardships, mental strain. You know, mental health has become a huge issue for people during this, because our existence as we know it has been ripped out from under us, and suddenly we're being faced with unusual times, which, you know, well, the Spanish flu was 1922 or 20, I believe it finished. So it's over 100 years of not having been through this. So how do you cope with that sort of Groundhog Day, that monotony, that lockdown vibe? What do you put in place to deal with that sort of mental strain?
Look, it is undeniably very difficult. But for me personally, I try to have that pragmatic, one day at a time, get through the day mindset. But also, I always look forward to the things that there are to look forward to. So I'm always thinking, okay, hopefully 4 months down the line. And I tell friends and family who find it difficult the same thing, kind of think forward to when this is over, to the amazing things we're hopefully going to do. And I think it's one of the main ways to get through it, and also to speak to friends, speak to loved ones, and keep them close even if you can't be close.
Yeah, it's that contact, isn't it? As human beings, we need that contact, and it's so important to get through it. So I'm going to move on to a quick fire question round.
Okay.
You aren't prepared for this, so you don't know what's
Oh
about
my
to happen. So I'm going to ask you I'm going to say two things, two words, and don't think about it too much. Just pick the one that you feel most drawn to. You can give me a reason as to why, if you wish, or you can just say it with no comment. So for example, I might say cats or dogs, and you would say
dogs.
There we go, easy. Okie doke, right, ready? Let's go. Morning or night?
Night.
Cartier or Tiffany?
Cartier.
Netflix or party?
Party.
Fish or chips?
Chips.
Handbags or shoes?
Handbags.
Brad or Angelina?
Brad.
Rain or sun?
Sun.
Sea or swimming pool?
Sea.
Fast or slow?
Fast.
Chanel or Louis Vuitton?
Chanel.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Eggs or bacon?
Bacon.
Britney or Madonna?
Britney.
Gold or silver?
Gold.
Today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Lovely. Thank you. Fab. Bit of an interjection there to our chat. So Hanushka, obviously we've spoken about your brand, we've spoken about, you know, starting life as a lawyer and then moving into digital marketing and then creating Sellier. You know, what do you believe it takes to succeed in life? What is it about the journey that makes it exciting, and what do you put value onto?
Being obsessed with what you do, I think, and really enjoying it. I don't know, it's a chicken and an egg situation. Do you enjoy what you're obsessed with, or are you obsessed with what you enjoy? But obsession is ultimately at the heart of it, and just working super hard.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. That's amazing. Oh, well, Hanushka, thank you so much for today. I could talk to you literally all day about this, but I'm aware of your timeline and the fact that you have a lot of things you need to be doing. So everyone who's tuned in today to listen, you must go and get on Instagram, get on the website. So you can find Sellier Knightsbridge on Instagram. Their website is, of course, sellierknightsbridge.com. They have incredible customer service that you can DM them with questions. They are so quick to respond. They are lovely in their response. So, you know, if you have questions, if you need support, reach out to Hanushka and her team, because they can help you. And they are the experts. They are the go-to. And so please check them out. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Lucy. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.